Washington, US President Donald Trump is once again targeting America's cultural institutions. On Tuesday, he announced that his administration will launch a federal investigation into the contents of US museums, particularly the Smithsonian, accusing them of being woke and distorting the nation's history. The announcement made on Trump's Truth Social platform is part of a broader effort since his return to the White House to reshape education and culture. The president has repeatedly criticized universities, museums, and cultural centers for what he calls ideological indoctrination, especially concerning slavery and racial history. The White House confirmed last week that it had sent a letter to the Smithsonian Institution, which manages more than 20 museums in Washington, announcing a comprehensive review to ensure their exhibits align with Trump's vision of restoring truth and sanity to American history. This effort builds on a decree Trump signed earlier this year, reclaiming control over the Smithsonian's content and accusing previous administrations, particularly Barack Obama and Joe Biden, of promoting what he calls historical revisionism. Trump argues that progressive narratives glorify diversity while undermining what he sees as the country's founding values. The review will not only affect Smithsonian museums, but also extend to the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. Officials say the timing is no coincidence. The administration wants to reshape the national narrative ahead of America's 250th independence anniversary in 2026, branding the celebration as a moment to correct how history is told. Trump's latest cultural offensive underscores his determination to purge institutions of narratives he believes prioritize minorities and weaken traditional American identity. But critics argue the move risks censorship, rewriting history for political gain, and undermining the independence of America's most respected cultural institutions. US President Donald Trump announced Tuesday on his Truth Social network that he has called for an investigation into the content of museums, which he accuses of being woke, particularly in relation to the history of slavery. Since his return to the White House in January, the Republican president has waged a crusade against American educational and cultural institutions that he claims support woke ideology, a pejorative term used by the radical right to designate policies promoting diversity. The White House announced last week in a letter to the Smithsonian Institution, which manages some 20 museums in Washington, that the government will conduct a thorough review of the exhibits to ensure their alignment with Trump's vision of restoring truth and sanity to American history. The president seeks to purge museums and universities of what he considers progressive ideas favoring minorities. That's why he signed a decree last March to regain control of the contents of the Smithsonian museums, which he had previously accused of historical revisionism and racial ideological indoctrination, especially during the administrations of his predecessors and political opponents, Democrats Barack Obama and Joe Biden. The US government justified these measures against the museums, which also affect the Kennedy Center, a cultural center in Washington, by the 250th anniversary of American independence, which will be celebrated in 2026.